Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my word for today is noise. And we make a lot of noise here, but there's noise all over the spectrum, and I think the stories I've chosen for you today will exemplify that. The definition I picked for noise is daily. The growing ignorance of just how... There's some noise right there. The echo of myself. I'm in a time warp, man. But noise, a sound, especially one that is loud or unpleasant or that causes a disturbance. Kind of like the noise we just heard. It caused a slight disturbance. Billy Bob he went like, what? If you're just tuning into our show, by the way, this is Billy Bob Bass, my psychic sidekick. He kind of keeps me straight. He gets on Jay for making mistakes like he did. It's all his fault. It's not my fault. You know, that sounds like a liberal, right? It's not my fault. It must be yours. That's the kind of noise they make. But he has a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. And we got to grow an audience out there, and we greatly appreciate it. So once again, our word of the day is noise, a sound, especially one that is loud or unpleasant or that causes a disturbance. Well, one sound that you're not hearing that should be causing a disturbance, but seems to be, what is that, the sound of silence, or the silence is deafening, that kind of thing. And that is about Sri Lanka. You remember there was an attack. The worst terrorist attack on the planet since 9/11 happened just when? Sunday, when there were Easter worshipers, otherwise known as Christians, by the way, but according to President Obama and Hillary Clinton and the mainstream media, they're Easter worshipers. We talked in depth about it yesterday, so check out our podcast. You can go to johnmartintalks.tv, John Martin Talks Facebook page, or our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks. And we don't have it up and running yet, but we will soon have a Gab account. So we'll keep you posted about that. But Sri Lanka, man, it's the worst terrorist attack since 9/11. And I purposely listened to the news this morning, and there was literally no coverage of it, especially on the mainstream media. Of course, it's all about impeach 45. That's what it's all about. But I bring this up because remember what happened in New Zealand a month or so ago, where that lone gunman went in and tragically killed 49, I think it was, people in the mosque in New Zealand. And I'm not downplaying. That's a tragic and terrible thing. But it's still in the news. It's still in the news. They find ways to bring it in. But it was for like 2 weeks. That's all you heard about. Well, here this was a lone gunman killing 49 people. As I say, a terrible tragedy, a terrible thing. I'm not downplaying it at all. But in the case of Sri Lanka, you have roughly 300 people killed. And the number seems to be growing on a daily basis. Because remember, there's like 500 casual people that are in intensive care and whatnot. So that number could certainly grow. And it was now ISIS, by the way, if you haven't heard this, ISIS has come out and claimed the credit for it. So here you have a terrorist state, which of course Donald Trump has pretty much obliterated now. Promises made, promises kept, saying that they're responsible for it. So you have a worldwide terrorist network. So what was the big difference? 290, I think, officially killed in Sri Lanka, 49 killed in New Zealand. What was the big difference? Why one story with more than 3 times as many people killed? Why is one story a big story and the other one is not? Well, could it be because the one Sunday was Easter worshipers? Otherwise, what we call Hillary Clinton, Christians? Could that be? I'm just saying. If true, I'm just saying. I'm asking for a friend, as they say. What is the difference? But one thing we know for sure, the silence, the noise is deafening. You can't hear a peep. All right, so we're going to move on. As I say, my word of the day is noise, and my subtitle for this next story coming to you from Fox News is a wing dinger, baby. Hold on. You're gonna get a kick out of this one. My subtitle is noise or nonsense or both. Bill de Blasio says Green New Deal will ban inefficient steel and glass skyscrapers from the city of New York. If the Big Apple is to become the Green Apple, it will have to ban the steel and glass towers that form its signature skyline, according to Mayor de Blasio. I call him Comrade de Blasio. But, so I'd ask, are like moderate buildings allowed, Bill? Because he's already told you that moderates or centrists or whatever aren't allowed in the 2020 field, I think. Do we have that one? Well,
By the way, when it comes to the 2020 Democratic nomination process, centrists need not apply.
So centrists or moderates need not apply for 2020. So I asked Bill, that was Comrade de Blasio on Bill Maher's show a while back, do like moderate buildings need apply? I mean, what exactly are we going to have there? Are we going to all go back to, maybe he should be supporting Elizabeth Warren and we could go back to having teepees in Manhattan Island. I don't know. De Blasio speaking on MSNBC's Morning Joe, Morning Schmo. That's a side note. I watched it a little bit this morning, and they were just blasting Trump as usual. Apparently, the president was actually listening to it, and he actually tweeted out and called it Morning Psycho, not Morning Joe. So I thought that was interesting. But I watch these shows kind of like the president probably does, so you don't have to. Kind of a public service, if you will. But on Morning Joe, de Blasio said the tall skyscrapers seen from miles away are the biggest source of emissions. In other words, they're polluters. They're basically just giant smokestacks, I guess, in New York City. He said the drastic change and switch to only renewable energy within 5 years are necessary for Gotham to embrace the Green New Deal, de Blasio said. So I'm wondering, because he's got like renewable energy. And I wish I could get old Comrade on the show. You have an open invitation, by the way, old Billy boy, if you want to come on the show and explain yourself. But I got to ask you, does bullshit burn? Is it flammable? Because we know that cow manure and buffalo dung and stuff like that has been used for centuries to fuel furnaces. So I'm wondering if your special kind of bullshit, does it burn? Because if it does, they could power all them skyscrapers. He's got a lot of emissions coming out of him. I tell you, stand back. This is what de Blasio says, and you can't make this stuff up, man. He says, we're putting clear, strong mandates to lower emissions, he said, warning property owners will face massive fines unless buildings are retrofitted. Mandates. Basically what this is, because he's talking about doing it over the next 30 years. I didn't think we had that much time, but apparently we do. But this is virtue signaling. It's virtuous noise is what it is. It's just virtue signaling. It's him trying to say, you got your poop back from San Francisco, or we're going to retrofit every building or tear them suckers down, man. And he reminds me of Yul Brynner from the Ten Commandments. I love Yul Brynner. I love his character in the Pharaoh, because he'd say something and he'd go, so let it be written, so let it be done. I mean, that's got to be a mandate. You got to do that right. I mean, these people live in a fantasy world, man. But he went on to say, the first of any major city on earth to say to building owners, you've got to clean up your act, you've got to retrofit, you've got to save energy. If you don't do it by 2030, there will be serious fines as high as $1 million or more for the biggest buildings. Now, do you believe in science, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, aren't the Democrats always asked, do you believe in science? They always want to ask that of Republicans, but apparently they don't believe in a lot of science, because all this is really nonsense. You know, when I first really figured out just how crazy this long before the Green New Deal, this was about a decade ago, how crazy they were about global warming and alternative energy. I was at a press conference here in Gainesville, Florida, where I'm hiding in a bunker, so to speak, at the home of the University of Florida. It is the biggest blue wave you've ever seen. I've lived in a blue wave all my life. But the University of Florida had a building. It was one of the engineering buildings, I think. Jay, you might not know this because you were basically just a wee lad back then. But they celebrated at the University of Florida that they made this building totally energy independent with solar panels on the roof. They put all these panels just for that building, and it was literally off the grid when it came to electricity. And I was listening, I was saying, this is pretty cool. And they said, and they talked about the cost of it and everything else. And they said that it will pay for itself. The cost of putting these panels will pay for itself in 50 years. And that sounds great, but then they said something that nobody seemed to catch but me, because I even wrote a little letter to the Gainesville Sun about it, because they said this will pay for itself in 50 years, but oh, by the way, the panels will deteriorate and have to be replaced in 30 years. So, I mean, there's liberal logic for you. 101 right there. It'll pay for itself in 50 years, but we'll have to replace it in 30. So, hey, you know, do as I say, not as I do, man. That's Bill de Blasio, right? But he said, he continued on. He wasn't finished by any stretch. He said, we're going to ban the classic glass and steel skyscrapers. Ban them. You're not going to have skyscrapers in New York anymore, which are incredibly inefficient. Seem like they're, pretty inefficient, because if everybody had to live in 2 stories or less, how big would New York City be? It'd probably be knocking on the door here. They'd be like, you wouldn't have to move to Florida. You'd already be in Florida. I mean, it's just crazy. But we're going to ban them. Which are incredibly inefficient. If someone wants to build one of these sons of guns, of those things, they could take a whole lot of steps. In other words, you think you got to climb through some bureaucracy now. You ain't seen nothing till you seen red tape Bill de Blasio, man. To make energy efficient, but we're not going to allow what we used to see in the past. So they're not going to allow skyscrapers in the future like we've seen in the past. Well, it seems like there was a guy before Bill de Blasio that kind of felt the same way, but he didn't choose to tear down the skyscrapers. He went to bug tussle, I think is what it's called. Can we play that song? Green Acres, baby.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay.
Hey, there you go, Eddie Arnold and Eva Gabor. Yeah, Jay, you didn't know that. I'm always trying to educate people. I got to educate these snowflakes. Joe's not a snowflake, but he's of the same age as, Jay is not a snowflake, but he's the same age. Bug Tussle was the name of the town where Green Acres was located. So I'm just trying to, Bug Tussle. You don't know about Bug Tussle, man? I guess you've heard of New York City. Have you heard of New York City? Well, you better listen to it now, because it may be gone away, man. You know, bite the big apple, as Mick says. Don't mind the maggots. But, it's interesting. Side note, Mick, with all the great socialist health care in England, he came to New York to get his heart valve replaced, didn't he? That's an interesting story in and of itself. But I guess we're instead of like going out to Green Acres, they just going to turn New York back into Green Acres. Maybe they could renegotiate with some of the Indians. Maybe Liawapa, Elizabeth Warren could negotiate, and they could get them beads back and just give Manhattan back to the Indians. De Blasio said private building owners will be required to slash their emissions by 30% by 2030. 20%. Well, first of all, I didn't know we had that much time, but I guess we do. But private, he says private building. Does the Comrade de Blasio even know what the hell that means? Does he even know what the word private means? These people are hypocritical. Of course they are. And here's an example of it. In the same conversation on Morning Psycho, like the president said, in the same conversation that he was touting renewable energy and reducing emissions, de Blasio also defended his use of a gas-guzzling SUV on his daily 11-mile trip from Gracie Mansion to Brooklyn Gym. So he goes back to Brooklyn to work. He drives 11. I got a feeling they probably got a gym in Gracie Mansion or close to it, or a city-run gym. But he drives 11 miles round trip in a SUV. He doesn't drive, he rides. But of course he defends it. He went on to say, and man, you got to love these little communistas. He said, let's make clear, this is just a part of my life. This is my life, and I'm going to live it. I come from that neighborhood in Brooklyn. That's my home. So he can't work out anywhere but in Brooklyn. I go there on a regular basis to stay connected to where I come from, and not in a bubble that I think for a lot of politicians is a huge problem. Now, that explanation makes perfect sense if you're a communist leader, because it's always about Do's as I says, but not as I does. I mean, you got to perfect that if you're going to be a communist. And Comrade de Blasio, man, if he ever gets tired of running New York, Moscow would probably take him in a New York second. The Green New Deal, championed by fellow New Yorker Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the name shall not be mentioned, or whatever, in Washington, is a radical measure. You think it is? That called for a massive overhaul of the nation's economy and energy use to cut emissions. So, is this just radical noise or just idiotic claptrap? Because, I mean, it's radical. I guess it's radical. It's not radical for them. It's kind of, I mean, how radical could it be? Everybody running for president has signed off on it, so it can't be that radical, can it? Yeah, probably so. The deal calls for the U.S. to shift away, talking about the Green New Deal, from fossil fuels such as oil and coal and replace them with renewable sources such as wind and solar power. Well, we know the Democrats, I don't know about solar, but they got a lot of wind. D.C., man, probably could power the world. It also calls for the virtual elimination of greenhouse gas emissions responsible for global warming by 2020. Well, I've said this before, but if I say it, of course, it bears repeating. Thank God the buffaloes went almost extinct, and don't even get me started on the woolly mammoths, because apparently we ate them. But I say that because you think about it. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says that right now there's roughly about 97 million cattle in the United States of America, and I'm assuming all of them fart. I've never met a cow that didn't. Well, in 1700, when they did a survey of the buffalo, they estimated their population of around that same number, roughly about 100 million. So think about if the buffaloes were not hunted to near extinction, there could be 100 million buffaloes and 100 million farting cattle doing it all at the same time. Well, New York, they don't have to worry about the skyscrapers. They could probably blow them over. So thank God. Can I put you down as being grateful? If you're a Green New Dealer, can I put you down as being grateful for the extinction of the buffalo, let alone the woolly mammoths? I'm going to put you down in that club. It's estimated to cost up to $93 trillion, the Green New Deal, 93 with a T, or $600,000 per household, according to the studies. $600,000 per U.S. household. Now, the Motley Fool, that's a great name for these people because they're pretty foolish. They reported, and they're a pretty reliable source, that talking about this, so keep this in mind, $600,000 per household. How much money do you think the average household in America has cash on hand right now? I'm going to bet that it's not $600,000. Here's the actual statistics. While the average U.S. savings account contains $16,420, have you got $16,420? If you're a MAGA guy, you probably do. If you're a snowflake, I doubt it. I mean, after all, man, you got to get that medical marijuana and everything else. But the median savings account balance across American households is only $4,830. So that's the median. And they go on to point out, and when you have a median that's considerably lower than the average, it means that most people have less than average. I've seen things that say most Americans couldn't survive more than one paycheck. Think about this. If they want what? Let me get this figure right, because this just jumped in my head, and I got to get it out or it'll rattle around. So they want to spend $600,000 per household, right, Jay? Think about this, Jay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't when they had the quote partial government shutdown, didn't they have people that were working for the federal government, which I'm assuming is a pretty fair job? Weren't they supposedly in the food, bread lines, soup kitchen lines after missing 2 paychecks? So I'm assuming that the federal government workers didn't have $600,000 or $16,000, let alone $600,000, because they couldn't even last 2 weeks without a paycheck. But yet the people that love big government, they think you can afford $600,000 per household. Now, I don't know, maybe so, because I got some people out there trolling me, troll on down the river, man, troll on, that said yesterday that I was just another ignorant, basically, Yahoo for President Trump. And, of course, some of you, especially out there on Citizens of Trump, and, of course, Deplorable Resistance, other Facebook networks we're on, came to my defense, and I greatly appreciate it. But, hey, I figure if you're not getting trolled by a few wackos, then you're probably not doing your job. I wonder if she has $600,000 laying around to help with this Green New Deal. I got to doubt it. But back to the article. Republicans have railed against the proposal, saying it would devastate the economy. Still talking about the Green New Deal, and trigger massive tax increases. Because keep in mind, basically, I was talking about the Green New Deal, but what de Blasio is doing is virtue signaling to AOC, the leader of the Democratic Party, that I'm with you, baby. I'm with you. You may have screwed us on Amazon, but I'm still with you, honey. I'm still with you. But trigger massive tax increase. A test vote on the proposal, the Green New Deal, recently failed in the Senate with no senator voting to begin debate on the legislation. So Democrats, man, they lack the courage of their own convictions. Jackasses on jackasses, right? So that's what, if you're new to the show, you might not know what I'm talking about. But to me, everybody pretty much running for president so far has signed on to the Green New Deal. So the very first debate, which believe it or not is supposed to be like in June of a Democratic debate, that the first question should be, do you believe in the Green New Deal? Did you sign off on it? Show of hands. And all of them raise their hand. And the next question should be, how did you get here? Because if you didn't ride on a jackass, baby, if you came on a slow train or fast plane or even a bicycle made out of aluminum, then you are disingenuous. If you're not part of the jackasses on jackasses, then you're just what? A jackass, right? But of course, de Blasio, man, he boasted about and defended him riding in a big SUV. So it kind of got me to thinking, and maybe we'll have to I got a physics professor friend of mine, maybe he can help me on this, but we'll have to think about this. Exactly how many jackasses does it take to pull an SUV? You know, because hey, if he's out of gas, he's going to need a jackass. And, you know, I guess it'd be easier to go around those without all them buildings. I don't know. Maybe that's why. But later on Monday, of course, de Blasio not to be outdone, because remember, Monday was Earth Day. Did you celebrate Earth Day? I did, man. I did. I mowed my yard, I think. Later Monday, which also was Earth Day, de Blasio held a press conference to introduce further his $14 billion plan. So he's got a $14 billion plan to level New York, basically. It's called One New York 2050, Building a Strong and Fair City. They always throw these tags. So let me tell you, when you hear him talking about building a strong and fair city, run! Because that means your city's going to hell in a handbasket. Trust me. He called on a new comprehensive plan to prepare our city for the future. 2050. That's the year, the future. Aren't we going to be dead by then? Because there's some conflict here. AOC basically said we're going to be dead by then. So if you, Comrade de Blasio, wait until 2050, aren't you going against your congresswoman from New York City? I think so. I mean, I'm confused. Aren't you? That's why I do the show every day, try to battle all this ignorance and apathy, man. I'm battling. I'm fighting. Poop, poop, poop. The buildings are falling and I'm fighting. But de Blasio went on to say, every day we wait, I guess he's answering to Ocasio-Cortez on this. Every day we wait is a day our planet gets closer to the point of no return. New York City's Green New Deal meets the reality head on. And I love this part. He said, we're confronting the same interests that created the climate crisis and deepened inequality. So it's not just, hey, to tear down these buildings is not just about the climate, but it's trying to make everybody equal, man. So they said there's no time to waste. We're taking action now before it's too late. So I'm thinking about deepened inequality. There's a movie out there I remember seeing where it showed a way to make everybody equal. Because I'm thinking about this. Maybe these climatologists or whatever they want to call AOC, maybe she's actually got it wrong. Maybe if they want to combine global warming with, wiping away inequality, maybe they should embrace global warming. Can we play that clip? I tell you what, that looks like the great equalizer to me. You want to put everybody on an equal footing? You want everybody to have equal outcome for the most part? Just let global warming play out, baby. Just let it play out, and we'll have a tsunami come across New York, and I guarantee you, everybody will be pretty much equal in and back to the Stone Age, man. So maybe they got it all wrong, baby. Maybe they got it all wrong. But I tell you, there could just be. Let me just read this last part because I think I might have a solution for them as well. Now, this might make them melt. But according back to de Blasio, under his Green New Deal, de Blasio said that the city is committing to carbon neutrality by 2050 and 100% clean energy, including hydropower. Now, I didn't think they would allow dams to be built, but maybe he's talking about riding that wave that we saw. But hydropower. I got some hydropower that might just drown out some of this noise, this nonsense. Can we show that picture of the wave that I'm thinking of? There we go. It's a Trump 20 wave. Now, some people might think it should be red wave, and it probably should. But, hey, the way these Democrats are going, there might be some blue people joining in on the Trump wave. But, man, that right there is the great equalizer. That is the solution to all of your problems, the Trump wave. So keep on pushing your noise out there, Comrade de Blasio and Ocasio-Cortez. Keep pushing it out there because you're like the wind when it keeps blowing. I know one thing is being an old salty dog, and I put my fishing report on my page yesterday. So check that out. I do that just because that's part of my character, part of my passion. But as somebody who's an old man of the sea, so to speak, the longer the wind blows, the bigger the wave gets. So if they keep blowing, the Trump wave, baby, it is coming to the Electoral College. All right, we're going to move on. This next article comes from the New York Post, assuming they survive. I wonder what kind of building they're in. The New York Times, as far as I've seen, I don't know about the New York Post, but the New York Times has got a building that's over about 10 feet high, isn't it? I guess they got to go too. But my subtitle here is Noise, or Do You Want a Piece of Me? Hey, are you just talking or are you ready to action? This comes from the New York Post. Pete Buttigieg, how do you say his name anyway? Pete Buttigieg compares Bernie supporters and Trump fans. So he's actually, him and Bernie are getting into a little tussle. So it reminded me, we're on this kind of New York kick, so it reminded me of a little video from a show that I kind of like. Now, in this, we're going to play it in just a second. One, I'll let you figure out who I think is Bernie, and the other person kind of represents Buttigieg or whatever his name is. And of course, one of them is female, but in this day and age, you can channel whoever you want to be, right? So play the video and see if I'm not onto something here.
You saying you want a piece of me?
I could drop you like a bag of dirt.
You want a piece of me? You got it!
There is Bernie and Get Shorty getting at it right there, man, because he's channeling his feminine side right now. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Does he pitch or catch in his relationship, or does it matter? I don't know. But football season's coming up. Do you know that? And we're going to talk about a story here in a minute about people maybe not going to prison. But I don't know if you knew this or not, Jay, if you're a football fan. Do you know that going to prison is kind of like changing positions on a football team? Have you ever heard about that? Well, you go in a tight end and come out a wide receiver. But anyway, Democratic candidate Pete Buttigieg compared Bernie Sanders supporters with fans of President Trump. So the Bernie people are just like Trump MAGA people, man, claiming that both camps include disaffected citizens who seek to change the status quo. So I got to thinking about that. Is he on to something or not? I can see some of his point, but really he's way, way off base because MAGA people, and this is something that the news media don't seem to understand. MAGA people, make America great again, people. Keep America great. Dregs of society, like we've been called, everything but a child of God. We don't want change so much as we want to return to the founding principles that made this nation great and making it great again. That's what maybe I'm wrong, but you guys chime in on like Citizens for Trump or Deplorable Resistance and tell me, because I feel like that's part of one of the reasons why I do the show. It's not so much to make some kind of big change, because I don't want to fundamentally change America. I want us was to return, of course, it's not about returning to all white like the mainstream media. It's funny how if you talk about the founding fathers, it means that you want to, de-brown the country or something, which is crazy. I'm trying to make it. I'm bringing color every day. You see the shirts I bring, I'm done. Man, I don't need a nurse, but I got one anyway. But I'm bringing color every day, man. So I don't think that MAGA people are looking for like radical change or fundamental change. I think they want to return to the bedrock principles that made this country the greatest nation it's ever been. But hey, maybe I could be wrong. But the 37-year-old mayor of South Bend, Indiana, I call him Get Shorty too, by the way, was speaking at a campaign stop in New Hampshire on Friday when he drew a parallel between followers of the dramatically opposed politicians, according to the Washington Examiner. In other words, he said that the Trumpites and the Bernieites, the feeling to burn, are basically just flip sides of the same coin. He said, I think the sense of anger and dissatisfaction that comes from seeing the numbers are fine, like unemployment low, like all that. Like you said, is this guy a Valley girl or is he a South Bend guy? He's a bend over, I don't know. Like said, GDP is growing, and yet a lot of neighborhoods and families are living like the recovery never happened. They're stuck, Buttigieg said, and told high school students in Nashua, New Hampshire. See, this is the message he's sending out there. You're starting to hear a lot of this from the mainstream media, that the economy is great, but it's not really working. And the unemployment numbers, like black unemployment is at an all-time low, Hispanic unemployment at an all-time low, employment, 58% of the new jobs were created, women hold them. That's what got them women into white dresses. Remember, they were partying in the Capitol. And Donald Trump, he played them like a fiddle band in the State of the Union address. But the numbers are looking pretty dadgum good by anybody's perspective, but it's just not working for the average American. I think the average American is actually working now, which is probably something radically different. But that is just something I want to throw out there. Keep that in words and phrases, because that's kind of their overall message. The economy, it looks good, but it's really not working. If it's not working for you, chime in and tell me how. But get said, it just kind of turns you against the system. Talking about the economy doing great, but you failing, I guess, against the system in general, and then you're more likely to want to vote to blow up the system, which could lead you to somebody like Bernie, and it could lead you to somebody like Trump. That's how we got where we are. So, what he's saying is, you Bernieites, you don't want to just feel the burn. You don't want this burn to sucker down. You want to blow it up. I don't think he's right about that, by the way, and I'll tell you why. Because I think the people that are supporting at least Bernie himself, he don't want to blow up the government. He wants to grow it bigger than ever. I mean, everything he's talking about is expansion of government. He wants to grow it up, not blow it up. And Trump wants to shrink it. So they're like polar opposite. This whole idea, what do they say? They compare Donald Trump is like Adolf Hitler. Well, Adolf Hitler was all about expanding government to a worldwide basis, basically. One of the things, and this is what people fail to realize, the economy, back to that, one of the things that they talk about, like the tax cuts, but one thing that's never really talked about much is with the economy is the deregulation part of it that Trump has done. That's probably more important than the tax cuts, really, because the deregulation sent a signal to business that it's not business as usual, that you're going to have freedom to actually expand your business. We encourage you to expand here, to come back if you've gone away, and deregulation and tax cuts is what has done that. So Trump's policies have absolutely directly impacted the economy, and anybody who tells you that is either dumb or disingenuous, because it's absolutely a fact. But Buttigieg went on to say, part of running for president, that's probably uncommon. Maybe I should just call him Get Shorty. I don't know. I have to figure that out because his name is very difficult to pronounce. Part of running for president is you wind up competing with people you like or appreciate or admired many years back. Well, a long time ago in a land far, far away, like 2016, I admired Bernie Sanders, man. He said, I don't have the same views on everything that he does. So bottom line here, man, this guy's making some noise. Old butt get is making noise. And apparently he's the poster child right now. He's the new heir apparent to according to like Morning Psycho, as the president said. So I just put this out there for Bernie, man. You better watch your back, man. You think you got this? I mean, Biden's coming in from one side. He's like, I mean, think about Bernie's going to be under attack because on the one hand, creepy Uncle Joe is coming in going to try to smell him up. And, he may have to get ready for butt gets going, excuse me, while I whip this out. So Biden's coming in. Biden's coming in today. Butt gig is rising, so to speak. Bernie, you got to watch your back, man. Of course, maybe not, because we know that Buttigieg, a happily married man, to Chasten Butt get. I don't know. I can't remember his name. They make a big deal out of him apparently. But got me to thinking about this because here at JMT, if you're just tuning in the show, you might not know this, but one of the things I always try to, I'm always at the end of the day, I'm always trying to help. So I got an idea for the Democratic Party, and instead of that, I thought about it. Billy Bob just tells me that there's actually a man that might be better at promoting this than I am. Can we play that soundbite, Joe?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah, baby, let's have a white dude rumble, man. Let's do it. And we could have a pre-primary rumble so we could sort this out to give people an easier choice. We'll just have one white dude. We'll have a battle royale. The last old white dude standing be right there. And, we could also, and I'm far be it from me to leave the gals out of this. We could put old Pound Me Too booty gal, what's her name? Christine Gillibrand. She got one that apparently she's really into pounding me too. What's that? Oh, it's hashtag me too. I'm sorry, man. I get like butt get, boot edge and all that. And pound, I'm from the old rotary dial-up days, man. I learned how to dial a phone. You actually had to, believe it or not, you actually had to do this to call somebody. You couldn't just go call such and such, man. So when I saw the what's called a hashtag, I thought it was pound. So I really was confused, the Pound Me Too movement. But apparently, Christine Gillibrand, you go, who? Yeah, that's right. She's been running for president longer than most of these white dudes, but nobody heard. So we'll put her in as one of the card girls. She could come round one. I wonder who would win that race between creepy Uncle Joe all the way down to Get Shorty and Beto. They'll have to team up. I can see them taking like Buttigieg and like throwing him across the ring. That ain't politically correct either. A dwarf toss is. Anyway, before I get in trouble, maybe I should move on to the next story. Check my time here. Oh, we're doing all right. My next title comes to you from Roll Call. I don't use that source much, but it is actually a very good source. And my subtitle is Let's Make Some Noise. When I say, a cheer, I used to be a cheerleader to a certain extent. When I say, I hope I say his name right. When I say Moulton, you say who? Moulton, who? Who? Because it's another guy's running for president, man. Representative, and I got to tell you, I keep up with this stuff pretty good. I never heard of this dude. When Representative Seth Moulton becomes the 19th Democratic candidate for president, according to Roll Call. Representative Seth Moulton, a Massachusetts congressman, enough said right there, man. He's got to be pretty much a leftist, unless he's Mitt Romney. Well, he's a leftist too. Known for prioritizing veterans issues and for unsuccessful push to unseat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, declared his bid for the White House on Monday. I guess he's trying to upstage old creepy Uncle Joe that's supposed to get in like tomorrow, right? Creepy Uncle Joe's coming in. Is Seth ready to rumble? We'll put him in the rumble. I don't think we had his picture up there. He's too new for the picture. But, coming. Was he in there? Oh, no, I meant in the ready to rumble. See, he wasn't quite meme worthy yet. That's the deal. See, there's the meme right there. I mean, think about it. When you can't even get to the point of being on a meme, how you gonna win? You can't be a winner unless you're on a meme. If you ain't meme worthy, you certainly aren't presidential timber. But in announcing his candidacy, Moulton becomes the 19th Democrat in the race. So I ask him, are you a true jackass, sir? Are you a true believer? Do you believe in tearing down the skyscrapers? They got one or two in Boston, Mass, where you come from. And you ready to get rid of them? I mean, are you ready to ride a jackass all around the great 57 states that Obama campaigned in? Are you ready? Are you a true jackass? In a campaign video, Moulton 40 touted his experience as a Marine Corps veteran. Let me just say first, sir, I'm all serious. Thank you for your service. I think of anybody that served in the military, thank you very much. But I got a job to do. Who served 3 hours or 3 tours? I said 3 hours. 3 tours in Iraq. Man, I don't know. An infantry officer before becoming an aide to General David Petraeus, then the top U.S. commander in Iraq during the troop surge in 2007. You know, we ain't heard much from old Petraeus. I wonder how close-knit, how tied they were together. Was he the guy that was procuring like hot babes for General Petraeus? Because that might have got him in trouble. And that young man could have you a great future in the Democratic Party. Unless, of course, Buddy Shorty gets elected, then I don't know. Hot babes may be a thing of the past. Maybe, washed away. Let me tell you, we're going to move on again now. So we got another 19. Can I hear 20? We got 19. Can I hear? That'll be the auctioneer. Because here's the announcement of, you could do like Let's Ready to Rumble. I got 19. Can I hear 20, 25, 25? That's announcing the people running for. We need an auctioneer to lead the debate for the. That's another idea. See, I have some really good ideas sometimes. All right, this story comes to you from Business Insider, and it's kind of an update to a story that we did a few months past. Update on some noise we made a while back. That's my subtitle. Starbucks is installing needle disposal boxes in locations across America following an OSHA, which is the safety, penalties and worker concerns about drug use in the bathrooms of Starbucks, according to Business Insider. Starbucks' efforts to address opioid use, let me check my time, doing good, and improperly disposed needles in its bathrooms are expanding. So this is like they had a pilot needle box program, I guess, and now they're expanding. Think about that, man. You like to be on a court where you have to have a pilot program for needle boxes, man. Anyway, I don't know, that just strikes me as odd, but hey, this is the world we live in. Starbucks' efforts to address opioid use and improperly disposed needles in bathrooms is expanding. They're going to address this. Equal opportunity bathrooms is the problem. Right? They got equal and what caused Starbucks this problem is that, a lot of stores, especially in these major cities, will have, because I saw this years ago in Manhattan, we don't have a bath, there ain't no bathroom here. You can't come in here. But apparently Starbucks decided that they would just open their restrooms up to just any old body. And it first started, I think, in Philadelphia, the brotherly love. The brother love came in and brought the needles with them, man. But Starbucks stores in at least 25 U.S. markets have installed needle box disposals in bathrooms in recent months. No wonder people are using the drive. I wonder why people are going through these drive-thrus at Starbucks. Now I know. By this summer, the chain aims to have installed sharp boxes in bathrooms in all regions where such action has been deemed necessary. Like poop maps in San Francisco, now you got Starbucks, needles, so we can combine on. Think about it. I mean, I like this. I like it and then I hate it at the same time. All regions where such action is deemed necessary. I got to thinking about why that. It's kind of sad, isn't it? What now is deemed necessary? I mean, some of the things that we deem necessary is like odd to me. Maybe it's just me. I think some of you deplorables probably feel like me. There one woman that trolled me. She said, "Do you know what the definition of deplorable means?" Sure I do. Hillary Clinton explained it to me. And Joe Biden kind of topped it off with Drake. So I got it. I know. Just like I know who Donald Trump was, I know who I is, man. I know I'm just a moron who just happens to be a MAGA. I do wear a MAGA hat. She says, "Where's your MAGA hat?" Well, it's right back there. You might not can see it, but if they remove that side, you can see, I got a little MAGA hat going on there. I tried to get one for Billy Bob, but it kept falling off. The coffee giant, talking about Starbucks, also allows local district managers or store managers to put in requests to have Sharps disposal boxes installed in their locations' bathrooms. Reggie Borges, a Starbucks representative, said in an email to Business Insider, "We are always working and listening to our partners on ways we can better support them when it comes to issues like these." Hey, I got a radical idea for you, sir. Let me get your name right. Oh, Reggie Borges. Mr. Borges, let me just tell you. How about not letting people shoot up dope in your bathroom? I mean, could you not? I mean, are we so politically correct that we can't just, go say, "Hey, you can't do that here"? I mean, is it like, couldn't it be company policy that we limit the shots to just ones that are like an extra shot of caffeine coming over the bar? Do you want an extra shot? I mean, I thought that meant espresso, but in Starbucks, I don't know. It might mean something else. Starbucks has been testing solutions in recent months as well as testing solutions. How about, anyway, I'll tell you what I really think. I'm not shy about that, right? Starbucks has been testing solutions in recent months as worker safety concerns have mounted, with thousands of employees signing a petition calling for Starbucks to place needle boxes in high-risk bathrooms. Isn't that something, though? Think about that. They have to test this. I mean, high-risk bathroom. Here's a high-risk. I mean, what is the symbol for high-risk bathroom? I mean, I know. Think about that. We got all these different symbols. High-risk bathroom. That's the one I want to go. I am Captain High Risk. High Risk is my middle name. But testing, man. They got to test this. This is why it's kind of like my thing about the stupid movie people where you got to have somebody hired. I mean, Captain Whitebread, man, he is really needed. By the way, that's what I call myself. A new superhero is rising. Because like in the stupid movie thing, it's where like somebody sits. How many times you been in a movie and you said, man, this movie's dumb. It's stupid. It sucks. Don't they need somebody in Hollywood before they spend all these millions just watching these movies like a pre-show of it and going, hey, man, excuse me. Do you know this movie sucks? I just, FYI, this movie sucks. That would save millions of dollars and a lot of wasted time, would it not? But, keeping along with that, couldn't Starbucks, instead of like, having needle boxes, they could hire somebody like my good buddy that comes on before us, Ward Scott, man, Professor Ward Scott, because I've always teased it. He kind of looks like one of them, get off my lawn guys, right? I mean, you gotta love Ward, man. But couldn't they hire somebody like him to say, hey, get the F out of here? Somebody just like knock on the, excuse me, get out. I mean, whatever happened to that? Can you not tell people to get the hell off your lawn anymore? Can you not tell? Are we so politically correct that you can't just go to someone and say, you can't shoot dope in the bathroom. I'm sorry. Buy a cup of coffee at least. But, hey, as soon as if you think this story that I'm just covered is crazy, wait till you hear the next one. I have truly saved the best for last. This is coming to you from Dallas, Texas. It's the Dallas Observer. And my subtitle of this is, It's Getting Noisy in Dallas, or Stand Your Ground. And by stand your ground, I mean like in Florida, we got the stand your ground law where you can literally protect your home and even your person outside of your home if someone tries to attack you. I think Texas probably has as liberal a gun laws as there are. So, maybe you need to stand your ground there. But according to the Dallas Observer, Dallas DA Chris Salt takes heat from council members over new theft policy. So the DEA has a theft policy. You wonder what this is. So let me just kind of explain this a little bit to you before we get into the meat of the article. And I hope I say his name right because I want you to know who this dude is. It's Creusot. It's Creuzot. Creusot plans, among other things, to stop prosecuting people who commit crimes of necessity. Crimes of necessity. That are $750 or lower than $750. In other words, people who steal stuff like diapers, food, baby formula, those kind of things. If it's less than $750, it's okay. We're going to turn the blame. It's basic necessities. That's interesting. So I just wanted to kind of understand, among other things, basically any crime under $750. He doesn't want to prosecute anyone. He's doing this arbitrarily. This is not new legislation. He's made a decision in Dallas, where his jurisdiction is, to do this. He actually the scariest part about this, before I forget, he actually campaigned on some of these ideas and won. That's the scariest thought, really. But Dallas County District Attorney John Creusot defended his recent decision to stop prosecuting certain quality of life crimes over the objections of members of the Dallas City Council's Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee on Monday. The reforms, Creusot said, are meant to make Dallas a safer, more equitable city, not to enable those to commit low offenses, as critics of the new policy have accused Creusot of doing. So he's going to make Dallas safer by permitting people to rob and steal. Wow, man. Dallas safer, quality of life crimes. You hear that term quality of life come from the liberal left all the time, the progressive left. They say, oh, this is a quality of life issue. Let me just tell you, I've noticed this. I want the freedom to choose my quality of life, by the way. I don't want you to tell me, oh, you now have quality of life. Because I found that my quality of life, and snowflakes, I hate to break this to you, but you probably won't get this from gender studies, but your quality of life pretty much is directly proportioned to the quality of your pocketbook. I mean, if you got more money in your pocket, you can make your life a lot more quality. It's like being poor, man. I don't know if being poor or if having money makes you happy, but I tell you one thing, having money makes misery a lot more tolerable. That much I guarantee you. But Dallas safer and quality of life. How is your quality of life better, and how do you feel safer knowing that people can just walk in the store and take whatever they want if they deem it necessary? Because that's what they're saying. If they deem this necessary for a quality of life issue, they can just take it without prosecution. Now, I wonder, if I'm a store owner, do I have permission to pop a cap in your ass? I mean, if you take my stuff, you're stealing, you're taking my quality of life away. Because let me tell you, most of these stores, their profit margin is not that big, especially a mom and pop. So if you steal $750 worth of stuff, that might be their profit for a day. And so you're taking food out of my baby's mouth. I can pop a cap in you, especially in Texas. But we'll see. I think it's going to lead to some trouble. But following an April 11th memo issued by District Attorney Cruikshank's office will no longer prosecute those busted for marijuana possession for the first time. How do they determine it? If they don't bust you, how do they know it's your first time? Those caught with just a trace amount of drugs. I mean, what drugs are we talking about? A little bit of fentanyl. We know a couple little flakes of that could kill you. So, I don't know, man. It's crazy. A misdemeanor criminal trespass. So, trespassing is now legal in Dallas. And cases that do not involve somebody trespassing on residential property. Because probably you sure enough going to get shot there, so that's probably why they put that caveat in there. Most controversial, Creosote also plans to decline prosecuting anyone caught stealing $750 or less worth of necessary personal items such as baby formula, diapers, or food. Creosote told the committee, so you can steal food. How much can you steal? I mean, look at me. How much would you deem, and I'm not going to stand up, but I'm just asking you a question. Let's just say that I had to steal all my food to get the necessary fit that I have in my sexy shirt. How much would you think I'd have to steal? I just know this. If I put a will work for food sign up, people give me money because it's cheaper. But it says here, what we are focusing on is not on processing cases. I'm confused, right? I got to stop right here for a minute. Jay, I mean, aren't you're studying law, aren't you? Maybe you can help me on this. Isn't a DA, don't they prosecute and process cases? Isn't that kind of the definition of a district attorney?
Their job is to enforce the law.
They're like the chief law enforcement officer, basically, right?
Law is useless without enforcement. And if this DA is not enforcing anything, then the laws themselves become useless. It's literally like they're trying to say, let's end the world.
Yeah. He probably minored in gender studies, I guess.
What is the... Sorry, I'm not going to swear. What is the point?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? Oh, we're not going to... It's fine. It's fine if you wish to steal less than $750.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But he goes on to say, what we're focused on is not on processing cases. It's on reducing recidivism and reducing costs, and we're doing it based on data and research. So you can call up, hey, my house is being broke, but our data does not show that it's worth.
What kind of data? Were they polling like criminals? Hey, what do you think about this? It's great.
He says, you get a kick out of it. He says, we intend to do is to make a safer city. Well, let me just tell you I got a radical idea. I want to help you cut through all the chase on this. You want a surefire way to reduce recidivism? If I understand the word, meaning coming back to jail. Just don't arrest anybody and let everybody go. You would have zero. You know, one way to assure zero recidivism is don't arrest anybody for anything. Then they will never, ever go back, right? But everyone from Dallas police unions to state officials like Governor Greg Abbott, who apparently is a great governor, General Ken Paxton have criticized Croissant. Abbott and Paxton said reform is one thing, but actions that abandon the rule of law and that could promote lawlessness are altogether different. In other words, the Democratic Party platform. I mean, that is by the way, they want to bring this up. I mean, think about this. This guy is literally saying, I want to hold the highest law enforcement office in the county, and my main goal is to not do anything. I mean, good Lord, man. Got a few minutes left. I want to finish up on this. But Monday City Council members, imagine some of these people were a little upset. Adam McGaw echoed another of Matea's criticism. This is one of the people from the committee, challenging Croissant on his failure to consult with the Dallas Police Department on the new policies. Croissant said he'd had a meeting with the department over everything in his reform package except the theft proposal, which he admitted hampered rolling out the new proposal. So people are opposed to theft. That little bump, that little speed bump is, that's hampering people. But this idea that they're upset with this dude for not consulting with the police department, well, now you're just being silly. You're being silly. You're just being silly. If you expect progressives to consult with your police department, you are living in a fantasy land, because the only thing they want to do is form a citizen group to watch over the police. They want the police. I mean, keep in mind, these are the same types of people that told the police officers out in the bastion of free speech in California, in Berkeley, to stand by and do nothing while they burned the damn thing down. What did that mayor in Baltimore say? Oh, we need to give people a little bit of room to be lawless. To loot. Remember that, Jay? She said that basically we need to give the police, need to give the people room to loot. That's essentially what she said. So these people, if you're surprised, I hate to tell you, sir, out in Texas, far be it to me to tell a Texan what to do, but if you're surprised that this dude didn't consult with the police, you need to wake up, because they never consult with the police other than to say, stand down. But Creosote, I love this part here. He said, let me apologize. This is the DA. Said, let me apologize. I can't apologize enough publicly. The way this was written was confusing and totally my fault. The confusion and lack of understanding, he's talking about the we let thieves go part. That's something I'm going to take personal responsibility for. Keep this in mind, because you know what he sounds like? He sounds like Ocasio-Cortez when she tried to backtrack on her statement about in the Green New Deal about those unwilling to work. They need to get paid too. I mean, just listen to the noise of these people, man. That's all you got to do. Listen to them. I've been telling you this. You don't have to guess where these people have come from. Just listen to their noise. The only thing you have to do is make a decision, because they're going to tell you. I guarantee you, this 2020 Democratic field and people like this guy. I'm surprised he's not running for president, by the way. Maybe he will before it's over. But this Creosote guy, this DA in Dallas, and I feel for you people in Dallas. Run, by the way, because they're going to tear the skyscraper. Maybe we can just steal the skyscrapers. Put a price tag on them less than $750 and just let them steal. But you need to listen to these people and hear them for what they're truly saying, the noise they're really making, because they're saying it pretty loudly. And then you got to make a decision. We American people got a hell of a decision to make. To me, it's a no-brainer, but hey, like the one lady said, I'm just a yahoo. What the hell do I know? But this yahoo here, Captain Whitebread, is telling you that we got a decision to make come 2020. We have to decide if we're going to make a difference or not. Are we going to are we truly like the Bernieites and we just want to blow it up? Or do we want to be like Captain Whitebread is telling you and actually return to the principles, the founding principles, make this nation great again? I appreciate you listening to the show. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Remember what I say often, that not everybody can be a fighter. Me and Billy Bob and like Jay in the back, all of us here are fighters. What we really need is everybody. I can say not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those in the fight. And that's what I really need you to do. We're coming up with different ways to where I can keep fighting and you support me. So more will be revealed as it is. But between now and then, as I always say, have a blessed day.